Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. My name's Trisha and today on the Aspiring Home Cook, I'm going to share with you how I make my almond butter. Now, nut butters are not just a rage right now. If you ask me personally, I think they're a very healthy option to include nuts in your diet. And there's so many ways you can use them. We almost always have peanut butter on hand, and I have shared a video with you on how I make my peanut butter. If you haven't seen that yet, I'm going to leave a link to that video right here so that you can check that out after you're done watching this one. Now today I'm going to share with you how I make my homemade almond butter. Again, it's super simple, and if you've got a few almonds on hand that you don't know what to do with, go ahead and give this almond butter a try. There's so much you can do with it. If you're someone who uses almond butter a lot, instead of picking up a jar from the store, try making it at home. I'm sure you'll find that the homemade version tastes so much better and you know exactly what's going into your jar of almond butter. Now, if this is your first time making some almond butter, stay tuned till the end of the video and I'm going to share with you a few ways that I like to use it. So let's head on over to the kitchen counter where I show you how I make my almond butter. We're going to start off by toasting our almonds. I find that it enhances the flavor of your almond butter when you do this. So I've got 1 cup of raw almonds and I'm going to pop them into a 120 degrees Celsius oven for about 15 minutes till they've warmed through. You can see that they've got a beautiful color developed, but they haven't burnt, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Let this cool down a little before you start blending them. Now, a lot of people wonder whether they can use a regular blender to make almond butter. The answer is yes, you can, if your blender can handle it. Now, I know that mine has been put through the ringer. I've used this for years and years now without any trouble. However, almonds are a slightly tough nut to crack. So I'm going to do this in portions. I'm going to do this in actually 3 batches. So I've got a little jar here. This is the same jar that I used to make my peanut butter. And I'm going to just give this a good blitz. Now, if you're using your blender, make sure your blender can handle the pressure. If it's a high-powered blender, you should have no trouble. This is what it looks like after a few seconds in the blender. It has started to break down. And I'm just going to continue with this process. Now, I had to pause my blender to give it a chance to cool down in between this process. You don't want your blender to overheat, so just be watchful and take a little break in between if you need to. I had to pause a couple of times before my almond butter was ready. And you're going to keep grinding till you get the desired consistency. Pretty soon it gets to a nice coarse stage like this where it starts to resemble almond meal. You're going to keep going now. And in a little while, you'll notice that the almond paste has started to clump and come together like this. Make sure that every time you pause the grinding, you scrape out the sides and the lid to give everything an opportunity to grind through really well. Now, at this stage, it has gone a little creamy, but I'd like to take it a little further than this so that it's slightly more of a spreadable consistency. So I'm just going to continue grinding the almonds. Now, before I put this back on to grind, I'm just going to season it with a tiny pinch of salt. And eventually, you're going to end up with something that looks like this. Let me give you a closer look. It's nice and creamy. It's not a dripping consistency, but I'm really happy with this and I know that this will go down really well. So I'm just going to continue with the rest of the almonds in a similar manner and I'll see you back after. And just like that, I've got myself a beautiful jar of homemade almond butter. Now, at this point, I must tell you that while my mixer is fairly heavy duty, I had to do this in about 3 batches. I found that the minute I went a little over those quantities, it started putting a real strain on the motor of my blender and I even managed to trip it a couple of times. Fortunately, I have a trip switch and I can actually reset the power supply and it kicks right in immediately. So please make sure that you've got a blender that can handle slightly heavier tasks like this to make your almond butter. And that being said, start out with a small batch. You can add more almonds to the jar if you feel that your blender can handle a little more. But that's it. That's how simple it is to make almond butter at home. Right now, it doesn't look overly creamy, but that's just fine. I'm fine with that. My peanut butter is not a dripping consistency either, so I'm pretty happy with the consistency that I've managed to achieve in a blender for this almond butter. I hope you enjoyed today's short video. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with family and friends that you think might enjoy it. Now, if you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. And once you do, don't forget to click on that little bell icon right next to it so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to see you really soon with another delicious recipe. So till then, take care. Bye.